way in former times. Holy women also, who hoped in God, used to adorn themselves from the inside, being submissive to their own husbands. This is unmistakable. This is unmistakable. Any effort to overthrow this is an attack on God and on the divine order, which, of course, is what feminism in all of its elements is, an outright.
So you can kind of see where I'm heading today. More anti-feminine, feminist type of nonsense, right? And here we got this is it's like Treasure of Christ or something like that, or Christ's Treasure. It's crazy. So and he always names it something that's like the same thing over and over again, right? So it says something terrifying just happened, but people missed it. It's all like these kind of like vague headlines that just kind of get you to click stuff because you're just like, what happened? What happened that I missed? What did I miss? I missed something. The video says I missed something. So it's just kind of funny. And he keeps using the same headlines over and over again. And then it's like also like showing like arrows pointing to like nothing and like little blurred out area. Like it's just really weird. Like it's just, I just feel like maybe he watched some video on like how to get people to click YouTube videos, and it was like put a little blurred out thing, and an arrow pointing to it and being like, you missed it, and people are like, missed what? I don't see, it's blurry in there. Like, what is that? But let's see. Let's watch the video from the beginning and see what he has to say.
I am shaving my head today, and I wanted to document this process. Maybe share some thoughts before I actually go and shave my head, and then share.
Hold on. Isn't the wait for it thing like more of a isn't that a TikTok kind of thing? Like he's mixing up his methods for getting clicks. That doesn't work on YouTube. That works on TikTok, man. Because like TikTok's like 4 seconds long. It's like wait for it. Don't skip it. Don't you dare swipe up and go to the next video.
Share how I feel afterwards. A lot of people ask me recently when I share with them that I'm going to shave my head, why am I doing that? And my reasons right now, the simple one is I just want to, but also it's not an impulsive decision. I've been wanting to shave my head for years. It's a FU to conventional beauty standards. It's a symbolic letting go. It's a transformation for me. I want to let go of a past self. It's a shedding. It's a molting like snakes or tarantulas or hermit crabs, and I'm not doing it for appearance purposes besides to embrace myself in the rawest form.
I did it. Really glad that I pulled through, and I do feel free.
She was a little nervous at first, but she did it anyway. Started cutting more, and
she doesn't look bad. Like, I mean, it does. It's like it's crazy. Like some people can just like pull off the shaved head like really, really well. And yeah, I feel like she's probably one of those people. I don't even think I could pull it off, honestly. I just, even with the goatee and all that, going for me, I don't know. I don't think the Matt Dillahunty would work on me. I don't know. We'll have to see, but I don't think so. Once I start going bald, I guess maybe I'll try to see what it looks like. But
kind of ended up giving her a bob cut, and here's the bob cut. And then eventually she just said go for it. So here's the first shave.
Oh my God, the middle part.
And then the second one, and here's the final product.
It's really pretty. So I'm guessing it's going to look good. Aesthetically, I don't think it's the worst thing. Like some women really pull it off and it looks cool. Oh my God, you're crying. It's just so God.
Verse 5, in this way in former times, the holy women also, who hoped in God, used to adorn themselves from the inside, being submissive to their own husbands. This is
what is adorning themselves?
This is unmistakable.
What does it mean to adorn yourself from the inside? I don't even know where to go with that.
Any effort to overthrow this is an attack on God and on the divine order, which, of course, is what feminism in all of its elements is, an outright attack on God.
Our system is designed to erase and eradicate every vestige of masculinity from our boys, okay? Every vestige of masculinity from our boys. Our school system.
Oh, my good God. No, it's not, man. We just don't want the, toxic kind of masculinity, which toxic is a qualifier for a kind of masculinity. We're not saying that masculinity is toxic. We're saying that it's a certain kind of masculinity that is toxic, obviously. And it's all about the pressures that men put on each other and on themselves because of, feeling like they need to feel masculine, because that's not masculine. If you're like, it's not about that. It's about just being yourself. And if you happen to be masculine, that's fine. If not, okay. But don't, this pressure game is ridiculous. That's what's toxic about it. Anyway.
Our pedagogical methods, our entire school culture is designed for little girls to be successful and little boys to be frustrated and put on Ritalin, okay? So that they sit there docile like little girls.
First of all, there's little girls that are on Ritalin too, okay? It's not, Ritalin isn't gendered, man. Like, this is not the way that medication works. Second of all, dude, like, it's so frustrating when they start doing this shit, because it's like men have always had the ability and have been promoted to like have the job. They've got the person with the job, and be the one that does the work and everything like that. And women have always been told, be quiet, sit down, sit in the back, and you just stay in the kitchen and all that type of shit, right? And so lately we're kind of like trying to encourage women to like, hey, it's impossible for you to not work in this day and age because of capitalism and everything. So you're going to have to work, right? So we might as well like, hey, try to encourage women to do that, even from like a young age. But it's not destroying masculinity, man. Like, this is
okay. We emasculate them. We make them compete with girls throughout their whole lives and not see them as the weaker sex to be protected, but just another dude with breasts.
Oh wow, he just said the thing out. Like, just said the thing. He's like, and we're told not to see them as the weaker sex that needs to be protected, because we care that they're a weaker sex that we care about more. Fuck you just said the quiet part out loud, you dumb fuck. You just gave away your entire hand. Yeah, that's too funny. So he basically just called them outright the weaker sex, and then said that they need to be protected, as if that kind of like fixes what he just said. And it's that whole idea of traditionalism isn't because women are less valuable. They just happen to be weaker because, they have different jobs to do. They got just a different job. And their job is to stay the fuck home and be quiet, stay in the kitchen, just cook my fucking food. And, and that, and they don't get that that's like, but that's only because we care about them more so, because they're actually like royalty. That's why they have to stay at home and stay in the kitchen, because you got to keep them under glass like a Fabergé egg or whatever.
The videos we just saw of these girls shaving their heads is a disturbing trend on TikTok, where countless girls are shaving their heads to protest traditional biblical gender roles.
Had a feminist movement back in Corinth. When women uncover their heads, that is equally wrong. And some in the church must have been doing it. They were uncovering their heads while praying or speaking, and it disgraced them to do that. It'd just be like someone with a shaved head. And we know from history that women who were feminists shaved.
So which is it? Is it uncovering your head or is it shaving your head? Because I thought the end all be all is God's word, and he decides like what is moral, and what is moral has never changed because God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And you're saying that, hey, uncovering your head's like, that's not a big deal anymore. But it is similar to the shaving of the head. That's what's really evil. Okay. But it's almost as if like masculine and feminine traits and like what's seen as, masculine and feminine changes over time and throughout cultures. I know it's crazy. But yeah, those things change. So like saying that men have to be masculine and saying women have to be feminine is almost just nonsense, because it changes over time and from culture to culture. So it really depends on what you're talking about. There was a time when it was very masculine for men to have long hair and wear kilts. That was masculine. If you go to Ireland, I think it was Ireland or Scotland. Yeah. To wear kilts, like, which is kind of like a skirt, just saying. It's similar in style of a skirt to a skirt. And and they wore those, and that was very masculine, In fact, only the true Scotsmen wore them. But here we go.
Shaved their heads as a protest. If a woman doesn't cover her head, let her also have her hair cut off. But if it is disgraceful for a woman to have her hair cut off or her head shaved, let her cover her head. In other words, the ultimate disgrace would be to shave your head, but it's also a disgrace to take.
What does that mean? if it is a disgrace, like, are you asking, like, you ask the lady, like, I don't know, would you feel disgraced if we shave her head? She's nodding yes. Can we get some shears in here? Let's do this. Come on. We need to shame her. What the fuck is happening?
The covering off in that society, so leave the covering on.
Instead of embracing God's design for them as females and women made in the image of God, these girls are essentially telling God that they hate how he made them.
Oh
and
my
they are
God.
going to live their lives.
Your whole fucking thing is that we're supposed to hate ourselves because we need Jesus. We're all broken and blah, blah, blah. But you keep on bringing this shit up like it fucking matters in some other way. Like, aren't we born broken and we have to get, accept Jesus' sacrifice? And that's like the whole point. Like, God made us broken and we're hating ourselves. We're supposed to hate ourselves so that we can need Jesus and all that shit. But then every time somebody's like, yeah, I'm just not going to do the traditional thing. Like, they hate themselves. They hate God's like tradition. Jesus, man.
In direct rebellion to their God-given identity. It's extremely disturbing that the very concept of womanhood is being erased in our culture today. Matt Walsh's movie, What is a Woman, started the process of exposing just how bad things have gotten.
So what is a woman?
Why do you ask that question?
I just really like to know.
What do you think the answer to that question is?
Well, I'm asking. That's why I came to a college professor who's this is what you do.
What other kinds of answers have you gotten?
A lot of like this, where you're.
So like, because it's not like people don't know who this fuckhead is. It's not like we don't know that this dickhead like is the biggest transphobe like in media, out there. I'm not sure if I know of anybody. I mean, I guess it's maybe like the literal Nazis on 4chan and shit might be worse. But as far as somebody like in the mainstream, this guy is just terrible. And so I don't know I don't know how many times he like went to how many different people and then took the footage of the ones that didn't answer as well as the other ones, because like a lot of times you get caught off guard and stuff like that, and so you're just and that he's literally trying to do gotcha, so you're trying to do this like preemptive, like he's doing gotcha questions and you're trying to like kind of get ahead of that, and so that kind of causes you to not answer in a way that would be something that he can get you with. So you would expect a lot of this, because of what he's trying to do, and they know what he's trying to do. So that anyway.
Well, you're not answering, and I've got a lot of that. So
well, for me, it's actually a really simple answer, and that's a person who identifies as a woman.
But what are they identifying as?
As a woman.
So what is that?
As a woman.
Do you know what a circular definition is?
I do.
It's sort of like what you're doing right now.
Well, can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't, because it's not for me to say. Woman.
Because see, again, like he's always catching people off guard. Woman. Okay, here we go. So as far as like I understand it, to the definition or whatever of today is a woman. Like womanhood is the durable social construct that is associated with human beings on the spectrum from feminine to masculine, and it's anything farther over to be feminine than from masculine, right? So that's the definition. It's a durable social construct of the feminine more than the masculine. It's really simple. I don't know why the fuck this is like so difficult.
Manhood looks different for everybody.
Our culture has become so insane that even dictionaries have started changing the definition of woman to appease the mob that is.
You guys believe in blood magic, man. You believe that like murdering a 2,000-year-old carpenter was like a good thing, not because you don't like that guy, but because you do. And but that's great. But you're
trying to
crazy.
Destroy all differences between men and women.
So the Cambridge Dictionary, and I always want to say Cambridge Analytica, it rolls off the
back.
Cambridge Dictionary.
This person like only watches fucking right-wing extremist idiots. That seems to me. This is Matt Walsh. Now we're on the fucking Crowder, Jesus Christ. What's next? Nick Fuentes? Fuck. Jesus.
I just changed the definition of woman. Here's the change, okay? Cambridge, they added this new definition. In addition to the other ones, this is an addendum. An adult who lives and identifies as female, though they may have been said to have a different sex at birth.
Right. Sources.
Yeah, it's almost as if like definitions change over time, man. Like definitions don't define words. Common usages do. And then we use those common usages and describe those common usages with a definition. So it's not you're thinking of it as if it's prescriptive. It's not. It's descriptive. We're just describing the common usages of the words, and these words change over time. We all fucking know that. Gay used to mean something else, man. Like, this isn't. Is that really that hard for you to figure out, like, how fucking words work? Jeez Louise. So why do you think we have multiple definitions? Like, if it was the way that he's trying to say, we'd only have a single definition for every fucking word. Moron. God.
Say
yes.
Good. I don't understand this.
Here's some examples. Can I hear it in a sentence? Sure, you psycho. She was the first trans woman elected to a national office.
It's truly dystopian when even renowned dictionaries are changing language to accommodate the radical, nonsensical idea that men can actually be women and women can actually be men. But the culture isn't just pressuring young women.
They can, dude. I mean, this has happened forever. Why would it be in the fucking Bible if it hadn't been happening all this goddamn time? You know, they're always talking about, like, oh, you know, the queer community is like the new, you know, they're just now being oppressed. I'm like, it says to murder them in the Bible. How long ago was that? You fucking idiot. Come on. Like, what are you talking about? They're like, they've been oppressed for like a really long time, you know?
To rejecting the biblical concept of femininity. The culture is also working very hard to destroy the concept of masculinity.
Oh, no, it's
Take
not.
a look at this ad from Gillette,
God.
which caused a lot of controversy about the concept of toxic masculinity.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
Masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it? It's locally happening here. It's bullying. A problem. We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
That's Anna. I do not remember this.
There will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie. Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool. Not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men, for everyone.
and small.
I am strong.
How is he making the case that this is bad?
It's not how we treat each other, okay? Okay.
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
Like, what?
The big question all of this raises is, what exactly is a man? Is there any real difference between men and women?
We've been told for decades.
Yes, there is a difference between men and women. It is on the masculinity and femininity scale. It doesn't have to do with genitals. It's the durable social construct that tends to go along with masculinity and femininity. Man is on the masculine side of the spectrum. Female or woman is on the feminine side of the spectrum. It's like, it's just really not hard.
It's right. We've been told for.
They tried it because we feel like a lot of times we haven't really thought of it like that, you know, where we're having to like define every single aspect of what a man is and what a woman is in accordance to like what our current definition is. Because it used to be, I don't have a dick, well, they're a man. They're a man, you know, and that used to be the only very overly simplistic, just like everything conservatives, you know, everything that conservatives believe is just overly simplistic, you know, and trying to jam everything into like some fucking box of you're supposed to be like this. You're supposed to. You're not supposed to. Women are supposed to stay home. You know, men aren't supposed to act like that. Men aren't supposed to wear dresses. They're not supposed to. Everything is not supposed to do something, you know, and it's so they can't stand it when you don't do what their weird worldview believes that everybody's supposed to do, you know, but it's like they think they can trip you up a lot of times by just like asking a bunch of like mutually exclusive trying to think of how to explain it, like talking points. Like they'll do a bunch of like mutually exclusive, because if you like usually when you're making an argument, it's supposed to like be sort of a model that answers like a bunch of things, right? But when you do talking points and just whataboutisms, those whataboutisms are self-defeating a lot of times. You know what I mean? And so it's like you're just saying, it's like almost like an AI, like a cheap AI, very cheap AI that just has like automatic responses to something that's brought up, even if it's logically in contrast to another thing that it brings up. You know, almost like a good example, I guess, would be the drug thing, where they're like, oh, you know, the conspiracy about the drugs, you know, and they're like, oh, it's big pharma. Big pharma is trying to keep you sick and all this shit, right? And so they're like, it's all about the money. It's all about the money, you know. And then you're like, okay, so then you're on the side of like getting rid of the financial motivations, you know. Oh, no, we got to keep the money in. no, capitalism all the way, you know. And it's like a lot of times it's like their logic is constantly self-defeating. It's incredible.
Decades that all of these things are social constructs. The roles of men and women, the toys that they play with, the things that they like. Who are we to say that, you know, girls can't like trucks and football and, you know, boys can't like, you know, dolls and whatever, right? We've been told that for decades. An attack on masculinity is an attack on the God who created us. He created us male and female. We are not the same. And there's beauty in the differences between male and female.
This is precisely the reason why men like Andrew Tate have become enormously popular. Because they fill a void.
Like like nobody's the same as somebody else. That was the whole point. It's like, wow, they just can't get like the basics. Like this is the most simplistic shit. They just can't fucking figure it out. It's like we're trying to say that nobody is exactly in that box. Nobody is exactly in the box of the definition of your Bible, man. Clearly, the people back in that day weren't even of that definition of the box of the Bible, because they were talking about it in the Bible, saying what they had to, like, either cut their hair or wear their hair long, and you know, all this shit, and have all these antiquated ideas about what a woman and what a man is. And clearly, you know, people weren't having it back then either. So this isn't even that new.
For young men who are looking for examples of strong masculinity, which the culture is seeking to completely destroy.
I didn't put a magic spell on everybody. I managed to accumulate a large amount of affinity with the male populace across the Western world, because I'm simply saying things that many men believe, think, and...
What is that accent? Where the fuck is he from? Affinity. It's like he sounds like American, and then all of a sudden it just like comes out of nowhere. He's like, oh yeah, but I'm Australian or something. Like, it sounds fucking weird, dude. Where is he at? Where is he from?
And feel.
The best take on Andrew Tate I've heard is that although Tate has correctly diagnosed one of the big problems in Western culture today, he doesn't offer the correct solution.
I'm saying there's a large contingent of men in the world who like the idea of the traditional masculine view of the world, who feel happy when they watch 80s action heroes with big muscles and they run around. And there's nothing toxically masculine about having a fast car and a beautiful girlfriend and making a bunch of money. And nothing at all. Absolutely. And those are the people who are my fans.
Tate is absolutely correct.
It's like, I don't think once again, I feel like they don't understand what toxic masculinity is. It's not it's not having that stuff. It's not being like, it's not having the big muscles and, you know, liking the action. But I have the action. I don't have the big muscles, but I have like I love action movies. You know, but like, that's not toxically masculine. Now, if I was like believing that I had to like action movies, and I had to drive fast cars, and I had to have big muscles and respect people with big muscles, then that would be toxically masculine. That it's not the stuff, it's the beliefs about the stuff, right? And the belief that you have to do those things in order to be a man, you know. Plus, my voice is just really low, so you know, pretty masculine in that regard. Okay. Yeah. Beat that, Tate. You sound like a little girl, you know.
Young men need examples of strong masculinity.
Just kidding about that.
And that our culture is destroying the very concept of masculinity.
The feminist lie has been that patriarchy is bad. It is tyrannical. It is toxic. It needs to be destroyed. And they've been doing it for decades. To destroy masculinity, to destroy strong male leadership and character leads to the current disaster. Irresponsible men running loose in the streets, terrorizing a society. Weak men have given us this legacy.
What loose people? Running wild in the street. What loose people are like running through the streets, terrorizing everybody? What are they talking about? They're like, what, some guy like wearing some like women's clothes, just like, boo, boo. What are you talking about?
Weak men produce the death of society. And men are in a crisis today. They're being continually told to try to get in touch with their feminine side. So they have become defensive about their masculinity.
And the problem is that when you attack masculinity, you are actually...
They're so scared of it, man. They're so scared of just like being seen as just a full person and not like a super masculine, like awesome bro, a man's man, yeah.
Attacking
Which
a
honestly sounds
preserving
kind of gay.
force. If
Just
you
saying,
don't
man.
have
Man's man.
strong men in a culture, then what you have is young men who are not kept in check. And what do? They wreak havoc. And when those young men wreak havoc, you start looking around, and what do you immediately want? You immediately want someone.
This is completely nonsense. Like when you have like people holding men accountable and not just being like, just, men do stuff like that's just men are dogs, men. When you don't have that, just like, boys will be boys, like that was like what the whole, wow, it's like he just completely missed the whole point. When you have that like kind of lack of accountability, that's when you have all this rape culture and stuff like that. I mean, the guy that he's sitting here defending, to a degree, he's like, oh, but he's right about the problem, but he just doesn't have the right solution. Is a sex trafficker, man. He's been arrested for sex trafficking. He's as immoral as they fucking come, like just short of like a Jeffrey Dahmer or some shit, like my goodness. And it's, but no, it's because, because we're not being toxically masculine, like not because we're not trying to just force masculinity into onto people that just aren't that masculine, and if they're not that masculine, they have to feel bad about it, and they have to really try, and they have to like, bust their ass to like do the impossible, which is make themselves something that they just fucking aren't. But that none of that's oh man, it's just insane.
Or something strong enough to bring that into order again. So it's like we're creating a problem that we're going to have to run around and try to solve. And the way that problem is solved is by the very thing that you attacked in the first place.
However, Tate's version of masculinity involves accumulating.
That's just so wrong on so many levels. Like can you just see, this is the problem with pastors saying stuff because they don't know what they're talking about at all, but they can just say stuff as if they know what they're talking about and they sound confident in saying it. So you're like, yep, he knows what he's saying. No, the fuck he doesn't. He has no idea what he just said. He was just saying like they attacked masculinity, and because they attacked masculinity, that means, loose men are going to be running through the streets, terrorizing everybody. Cause that's happening all the time, right? Just all these loose, effeminate men, just like just terrorizing everybody all the time, like in clown costumes or something. I don't know. Just like show up and go boo. But no, that's not happening. And he's saying, but because they're not masculine, that makes them act that way. And so we need to say that you should actually force yourself to like things that you don't like, because it's more masculine to like these things if you're a man. And somehow that's going to solve the problem, because then you're fitting yourself in the goddamn box that they want you to be in. I mean, that's really what this is about.
Wealth and then flaunting that wealth for the world to see.
But now the mainstream press is commenting on the fact that I was informing Greta that my very extensive car collection with internal combustion
did he put up
dinosaurs has an
idiot.
Enormous emission profile.
But of course, this is not true biblical masculinity, which is
I've never seen that video. I heard about it, and I saw like clips pictures from it, but I never saw heard what he was saying on it. God, he sounds so mad that he can hardly think straight. I'm surprised he didn't just say like a complete nonsense sentence.
What young men in the culture really need. We need men who stand firm upon the word of God, and not men whose foundation is wealth and worldly success.
We can start as believers by understanding the most basic fundamental Virtue, the core virtue of manliness. The word I like to use is fortitude. Mark it down in your mind. You don't need to write it down. I'm going to say it enough you won't forget it. Fortitude. What is fortitude? It's a great word. Firmness, strength of soul that faces danger with courage and bears loss and pain without complaint. Fortitude. Firmness and strength of soul that faces danger with courage and bears loss and pain without complaint. That's not a theological definition. That's just a definition of the word. When you say a man has fortitude, you're talking about someone who doesn't compromise.
I feel like it's one of the definitions of the word, because I thought that had more to do with like the sturdiness of like a fort. You know, it's got fortitude. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I always thought it was more of like an inanimate object description of some sort, of being like, look, hey, this thing has fortitude. Like, it's not going to fall over real easy or whatever. Like, it's sturdy. That's what I always thought. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got to look up the definition now. But I mean, I didn't really ever use it as it applied to people. So I don't know, man. Whatever.
Compromise. Even when there's danger, even when that danger escalates to fear and pain.
The reason why Tate doesn't believe Christianity isn't the solution to society's problems is because he sees worldliness and weakness in the church, which is, again, a pretty accurate diagnosis.
And they say, well, you were religious before. I was like, religious before how? Christian? What does Christian mean? Like, who's not a Christian? You go to Christian nations and everyone says they're a Christian. Look how they live their lives. Go into the average church. Is anyone actually fearful of God? Anybody? No. The girls are out on Saturday night drinking, and then they turn up to church because their parents made them. Like, there's no substance to the religion.
Tate is absolutely correct that a large number of churches in the West are characterized by worldliness and lack substance. But again, the solution is not to discard Christianity altogether, but rather to find true Christians who actually teach against the worldliness and lack of substance that we see in most churches today.
Hold on a second. I don't even know what he's talking about. This is Dallas here saying, I'm sure you're not creating a straw man. That's my Dallas impression. I don't know if you've ever heard him. That's pretty damn good, actually. It's pretty close. He doesn't quite have the voice. It's sort of somewhere in between Jordan B. Peterson and Ben Shapiro. Now, if you try to do this any other way, then it is sneering of the highest order. That it's somewhere in between. It's like sort of a combo of those two, which I think is what he's going for. Honestly, really, I think he's actually going to be pretty happy with my impression of him. But and here's my response. It's not. Y'all are just dishonest and vague so that you can say everything as a straw man. Because as long as you never actually say what you actually mean, you can say everything's a straw man, can't you? Can't you? If you leave it just vague enough, hey, oh, that's a straw man, that's not what I'm saying. And then you can just be like, oh, no, I didn't mean this word to mean that. And it's all just it's always equivocation. That's really, they're saying, claiming straw man, it's really just equivocation because they keep on just changing the definitions of things, so to fit whatever the argument is at that moment, and it'll change given what your arguments are in response, because they don't want to face you head on because they know they can't.
People, you need to listen. You are growing up in the most superficial age the world has ever known. A world of make-believe. A world with immediate gratification. You don't have to be anything anymore because you can just pretend. You don't have to work to do anything anymore. You can just play the game.
It's just, you guys have set up all the boxes and you said that everybody has to fit in there. And if they don't fit in there, then they are pretending that they don't fit in there. But that's just a dishonest thing on your end. You are just mad that people won't fit in your little fucking boxes. But, we're tired of the little boxes. Little boxes on a hillside. All right. I think I'm just going to end it there. There's only a couple more minutes, and it's not going to get any more interesting, I'm sure. So, yeah, we'll just cut it here. And but thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And, stay logical but loving, skeptical but compassionate. Take it easy, y'all.